John Gray here, and I am out delivering for Postmates, but I had to stop for a second to make this video really quick because it's really been pressing on my mind. It's been kind of hard to concentrate, so I figured I'd just get it out of the way. Since listening to the Dave Ramsey show, I have had a hard time finding other podcasts that I really like, so I've been trying to look for some, and I decided to look for some money ones today. Listened to one in particular that made me really sort of frustrated. I think once you sort of drink the Dave Ramsey Kool-Aid, standard, normal financial advice seems dumb to you. Here's essentially why I got frustrated in what was being said on the podcast. This person was suggesting mathematically that it makes more sense to keep your cheaper debt because over the long run, you make more money, apples to apples, if you invest the money that you're not pouring into your debt to pay it off early over the long run, and you'd be debt-free at the end of 20 or 30 year time span. If you look at the math, that is actually true. It's probably the best argument for taking on debt is that mathematically you end up with more money. And I understand that argument and don't debate it with anyone who feels that way. I mean, that's fine. The part of that, though, that I have an issue with is this assumption that personal finance is simply math. Everyone who you ever talk to and who talks about personal finance and likes debt always makes that comparison. They're like, well, mathematically, it's like you are giving up all this money if you are paying off your debt early. Well, yeah, that's true, but you're not taking into account what the whole debt-free process does to you behaviorally, which impacts your finances positively. I'll give you a good example. Most of the people who go on the Dave Ramsey show and do their debt-free scheme, have you ever noticed that a lot of them have significant pay increases during the time that they were paying their debt off? Not like standard cost of living, like $1,000. No, like $20, $30, $40, $50,000 worth of increases in like a 2-year time span. You know why that is? Because they looked at their finances, they got intentional about what they were doing, and they said, if I'm going to actually get serious about paying this debt off, I need to make more money. They changed how they thought about their money, their relationship with the money changed, and they did things differently. That is a drastic difference I would say, between intentional debt payoff and meandering around with debt like, oh, I'm just going to have a house payment forever. I'm just going to have student loans forever because everyone does. That plan is normal. Everyone does that. And you know why most people don't end up with a lot of money who are doing that plan? Because it leaves you open to really dumb stuff like impulse, like not being intentional, like feeling like life is overwhelming and too difficult, so you go on a trip that you probably couldn't afford. All those things are a lot more likely when you're on the quote-unquote faster and more financially beneficial route of using and leveraging debt to make more money in the long run. That's what's never considered and never talked about when people compare those two things. In the Dave Ramsey plan, it's very specific. Like, you save money so that if life happens, you're prepared for it. And yes, that costs you some money in investing, and you're not going to necessarily get the same returns if all things and all actions were equal. But the difference is that all things aren't equal. So anytime you have someone tell you, like, apples to apples, debt is more effective, they're not considering the behavior changes that you're going through by doing this plan. That's the whole point. Personal finance is personal. I don't act like the next person, and I don't even act the same as I would based on the circumstances that I'm going through right now. My behavior is going to be different under this plan than it would under a different plan. So to assume there's even an apples to apples comparison is completely ignoring reality. It's just not how things work. I'm sorry. In my view, to ignore that is to completely ignore the genius of being debt-free in the first place. It's not simply money. It's how you behave with money, how your relationship with money changes, and how that change makes you more money than the people who are just meandering around in their normal everyday plans, you ultimately, I think, come out with more money that way anyway. I'd love to see if there's some data around, the net worth of people who have gone through Dave Ramsey's plan versus like the net worth of people who do traditional plans. I wonder if there's any data around that. But it's a fair amount greater, I would venture to guess, than the people who are doing traditional financial plans, because it seems like every bit of conventional wisdom tells you to keep your debt, but the average net worth of people who have debt is pretty freaking low. So why would I take that advice? There's clearly more than math going on. I don't know. That really frustrated me. Now Dave Ramsey's pretty much ruined all podcasts for me. Like I can't even listen to other money podcasts because it's just more frustrating than anything. But I don't know. Maybe I'm completely full of crap. Let me know what you think. Peace.